Hi there, welcome to my channel, and my name is Lynn Morris. And if you haven't heard any videos from me before, there is quite a few on my channel history, even though it is not that old. My channel, it's only year 18 months old. So what I wanted to talk today is about a very serious thing, which is about this hidden epidemic that we have worldwide of paedophilia and of the underground, shall we say, organizations that trade on human sex trafficking, child trafficking around the world. And if you to think of it from sort of like a human problem, most people wouldn't even be able to comprehend what a human being is capable of in regards to this sort of behavior. And shall I say to you that the angelic human light body and DNA, and in the creation of the human angelic DNA, we weren't designed for this or to be even capable of doing it. And it very much is a infiltration of very sophisticated interference coming off planet, which is affecting the mindsets of many people on the planet, because women do it as well, men and women. It's got such layers to it. But if you think inherently, the human race is kind and loving and wants to help others that are in trouble. You know, like an old woman falls down in the street in a small town or village. Others walking around will just run to her, won't they, to pick her up and prop her up and get her, make sure she's okay, and that she will be seen to and attended to and looked after and all of the other things. And absolutely inherently worldwide, this behavior is everywhere. And that is the human heart, human empathy and love for fellow human beings. And all of this agenda, which is going on right now in regards to sort of like the dumbing down of child abuse and childhood pornography and all of the things that happen in regards to that sort of industry and what goes on is directly an agenda being fed into the human psyche, and also via many different aspects like holographic overlays, which are placed over certain people that will influence their behavior. Implants, mechanisms, and devices put into the human race to actually control a human being and to actually put those ideas into their head. Also, it's part of the Satanic and Luciferian covenants to actually provide child sacrifice and child abuse and all of the ways they abuse children. And I'm not going to go into that. We do not need to discuss what actually they do to them. And you can imagine, all right? And there is particular, shall I say, practices that they do that is part of the demon sort of rituals that they do to raise demons and actually to create black satanic contracts, and to create power for themselves, and also to create an energy which is being fed into a system of such which is controlling certain aspects of humanity right now in their consciousness. Okay, so this is a huge problem, and no matter where you go in the world, right, whatever country you go, or wherever child abuse has been running down the ancestral line or whatever, you will always get people that want to sweep it under the rug. And, you know, in families where fathers have interfered with their daughters, or, you know, mothers have sold out their children, because mothers do it too. And then it's hidden. And when the children remember, when they grow up, or they live with that secret as a child, if they do want to raise that as an adult, because they're trying to heal and transmute it and to lift out all of the trauma and everything else that's caused during that, they're gaslit, they're told to keep quiet, don't tell anybody. The shame and the guilt is put onto the victim and survivor, and it becomes a merry-go-round. And that's how we perpetuate child abuse in families and incest, as it goes down and down the generations, until you get the black sheep of the family, a light worker, a starseed, who comes into that family and breaks that cycle. I'm one of those people. I am a black sheep. Not literally. And, you know, I was told to be quiet. I was told to shut up and not talk about it, even though in certain terms of it didn't even happen anyway. And that wasn't coming from my parents. That was coming from family members around me, distant cousins and others that were not wanting that energy to be really, you know, not wanting that to be revealed, even though they probably, to a certain extent, didn't even realize it was going on, because they were in dissociation too. And I was brought up in a family where there was huge satanic ritual abuse, and there was pornography circles around me. There were paedophile gangs and rings around me, and I wasn't even aware of it because I was disassociating, and I did not have the memories because they were so horrific. There was an odd memory I had that I'd kept that just seemed odd, and I'd even asked about it in the past when I was a younger woman, and it was just like laughed off, if you know what I mean. But there was something far more sinister behind it, and I actually got those answers a few years back, and it was devastating to confront that in my 50s. Evidently, I couldn't even handle it before then. But to handle it and then start to heal and transmute it, and to then work on my ancestral lines to see where that came from and what I could do to heal and transmute that. So imagine worldwide how many families have got the same thing going on, either to that degree or, you know, less, let's hope. The elites, and they're not elites, they're idiots, but as they call themselves, the elites, that is part of the passageway of their power and their rising in power. So they have to give away a child. They have to sacrifice a child in one way or another, whether it's a sacrificial death of a child, whether it's actually that child being given over to, shall we say, the darker forces, as I've mentioned, or that child being almost like brainwashed into being going into the energy of transgenderism and having to change sex, which is a direct link to Baphomet and one of the main demons. That is an androgynous, so male and female, and very much I'm going to say, I think all of the agenda that's going on right now in regards to that is linked to that origination. Now, hey, everybody's got their own life to lead, and everybody's got their own pathway to walk. And any person that has to feel that they need to become transgender and change sexes, it's their own journey. I have no judgment of that, but I'm looking at it from a higher consciousness platform, and what we see the agenda which is being run. And part of that agenda, as we know, is to demean the role of the divine feminine and to confuse humanity regarding the divine feminine, to confuse humanity to a point where they cannot tell the difference between a real woman and a transgender woman. Now, everybody are going, oh, no, 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 no. We know. But can you imagine in generations to come, if we allow that to keep going, what's going to happen? And I think that is a deliberate attempt to do that. There are many other things they're doing, and I'll do a different video on the ways that they torture the divine feminine and continue to torture the divine feminine on this planet, and how that seeps into normal society. And society does not realize the evil agenda behind it, because if they did, they wouldn't go along with it. So, there's more on that. Now, coming back to what I was talking about, which is the children. Our children are precious. They are beautiful and sacred and divine. And are we going to allow and continue to allow our children on this planet, to be taken, to be used as fodder and food and entertainment and sadistic pleasure for other races and other even soulless beings? That's the only way they continue to be on this planet, is to do that. So are we going to allow that to continue? Are we going to allow the likes of the news presenter on the BBC, and we all, you know who I'm talking about, in the last few days getting a suspended sentence for holding so many images of child pornography of the highest level, and actually being, was going to meet a child or a teenager, and it was intercepted before he met them. So he doesn't always look at the stuff. He takes part in it as well. And I do believe probably he's part of a larger ring, which is sort of protecting him, as they do time and time again, like Jimmy Savile and all of the others that have gone through. There was a particular guy, I'm trying to remember his name, I can't, who was interviewing people that have been ritually abused as a child, and trying to protect them, and also trying to help mothers who had children that were being abused, but they couldn't stop them going to their father, where it was happening, or whatever, where they were going. And he got involved in moving a child, trying to help the mother take the child away to protect the child from the continued abuse. And he was set up, and he was caught, and he was charged with kidnapping with the others. And then they ended up in prison. And one of the others actually committed suicide, hanged himself, I think 24, 48 hours after. And that's not right. And that was a setup, I believe. And that guy was trying to help. And immediately, you know, interviewed people, had a YouTube channel, and then was just targeted and taken down for trying to stop and intervene in that child going back into the paedophile ring, the satanic, and it was satanic ritual abuse. And I'm a survivor of satanic ritual abuse. So I am very passionate about the effect that has on a human being and a child. And imagine the horror. Well, you don't need to imagine the horror, but what I'm saying is what a child can't comprehend what's happening to them. They can't comprehend in any shape or form what is happening. And it's barbaric and it's inhuman. And it is inhuman. It's not human. It's not human behavior, because human behavior wouldn't do that. We weren't created by source to do this. That's why the interference is off planet. The interference is evil. And even the shadow aspects of the human physical being hasn't a capability to do that. It's not in our DNA. It's not in our DNA. It's where we are, we've been genetically altered. Our DNA has been changed, where we've been holographically overlaid, as I said before, with sophisticated technology that is able to overshadow any human being through the control, through the food that we eat, the jabs that we take, and all of those things are having an effect on a human's capability of doing that, and also being possessed by dark, energetic beings. And there's so much more than that. And I've just realized as I'm talking to you that I haven't plugged my computer in. So I am going to pause this, plug my computer in, and carry on. So here we go. Okay. At least that lightened it up for a moment, didn't it? Because this can be a very heavy subject, but it's very important, and we can't ignore it. We can't just say, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to listen about it. I'm not going to connect with it, because if I do, I'm going to sully and dirty myself, and I'm going to make the problem bigger. Bullshit. I'm going to say it, bullshit. If we do not expose it, reveal it for what it truly is, and also work on the beings and entities behind it that are causing these issues, we are never going to clear it up. And we need to ban it from this planet. It needs to stop. This is not the behavior of an angelic human being. No shape or form. So we need to acknowledge it. We need to support others that have suffered it. We need to find ways to negate the energy and use universal and divine law to start pulling and bringing these beings and human beings and entities to account for what they are doing on this planet. Do you want your ancestors, not ancestors, do you want your descendants to suffer what the children are suffering right now? Do I want I haven't got any yet, but do I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren to be experiencing this. And we're saying new earth, it doesn't happen. Yes, but we all have a job to do to bring this to an end. It's a group collective job. Ignoring it won't make it go away. And more now, as the frequency on the planet increases, we will see more and more truth and the reveal of the truth. And it's what we do with the truth that matters. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with that information? What are we going to do to show the beings in power right now that are falling, and they are falling, but the minions that are left, that are here, holding on to power, holding on to what they've got, desperately trying to get to the 2030. The more and more people that speak up, the more and more people that make a stand, the more and more people that will brings it up, and supports the sharing of information. The more and more people that stand up and say, that's too lenient, or what's going on there? And why is that quiet? Why have you covered that up? The more and more of every person on this planet that starts to say, I'm not tolerating this on my planet. I won't have it. I will not stand for it. And what are you doing about it, government? What are you doing about it, Prime Minister? What are you doing about it, President? What are you doing about it, Councillor? What are you doing about it, Judge? What are you doing about it, lawyer and barrister? What are you doing about it, Police Chief and Police Commissioner and Chief Constable? What are you doing about it, doctors and paediatricians and all of the others that are in on it? Because it's rife everywhere. My own two professional people from my childhood were linked to my abuse, my satanic ritual abuse. One of them was my dentist in my hometown, my dentist, and the other was my family GP, the doctor, female, in fact. Can you believe that? My own family doctor, when I was 5 years old, was part of the satanic ritual abuse sect. In fact, she was directly linked to my first ritual because the memories came back. And the dentist was linked to my satanic ritual abuse. Two professional people in my hometown linked to satanic worship and rituals, using children to produce their power and to get off on it and whatever else. So how, and that was in the 60s, right? In the late 60s, right? So what's it like now? You know, we've got that thing going on in America, P. Diddy, with suddenly he's been charged with sex trafficking. And I know we're talking about adults there, but do you know what? There's a dark undercurrent running with that. I can feel it. And that is much more sinister. And probably that's linking into satanic ritual abuse, linking into maybe taking people for rituals. I mean, it's rife, isn't it, in Hollywood? We know that anyway. But, there is a whole secret story behind that has to come out yet, which will come out, of course, will come out. But there is so much that is not being revealed that will be revealed. And I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see more and more of this coming out. It's got to come out. We can't hide it. We can't pretend it's not happening. We've got to think about these kids, these beautiful children that are continually being abused every day of their lives. And there are very many brave souls on this planet doing what they can to stop this. But we can't ignore it. The old, I'm sorry, but I have to say this, the old teachings or false light teachings of if you talk about it, you make it worse. No. It's our job to uncover the shadows on this planet. It's our job to shine our light in the darkest recesses and caves and tunnels. We've all got different jobs. We've all got different jobs to do on this planet. We've all got different things to do, and that is absolutely fine. We work as a team in unity conscious in the higher divine plan, of course. But there is still a naivety amongst light workers that seem to think that if you pray to angels and you just, and they'll do all the work for you and it will all be done, and that it's already done and I don't have to do anything. Well, you do. And we all need to look within our own shadow to be able to liberate ourselves. And humanity has to look at its shadow to be able to liberate these children and to eradicate this behavior, which is barbaric and is, as I say, non-human behavior. And they may say, oh, well, they've been doing this from the early ages. Well, we have been overshadowed by alien races since the beginning of time, when they saw the earth and her beauty and the beauty of the angelic human and our creator God's selves, and decided they wanted it for themselves. And those were beings that had lost their God spark, had no empathy, no feelings, and they were coming to sort of take our paradise and use it for themselves, and realizing that they could use us as energy and they could do whatever they wanted when they started to make planetary pacts with other people and off-world agreements and covenants that would bring other non-human entities to this planet to decide how they were going to set up this planet and actually bring it under their total control. And there is a huge galactic history behind this. And I will do a video on this in the next few weeks. There's a huge galactic history dating back to the Lyrian Wars, the Cradle of Lyra, the Orion Wars, Galactic Wars. And that's where we lost our ability to be in a higher universal dimension and density. And we came down in density. And that was due to the blow up of the sort of like a gateway linked to the Orion Wars, which then meant that the planet descended into another universe, a lower density universe, and we were more or less quarantined. And the higher God worlds and the Rishi worlds and the crystal star frequencies we couldn't reach them because the planet had descended. It was moved. It was actually moved, and it came down in dimension. And that is like that's a frequency band. We came down in frequency band, and then they started to we lost the mother arc frequency the cosmic divine mother, divine feminine arc frequencies that were running into the crystalline grid at the center of the earth. And this, then they were able to do what they wanted, and then started the suppression of divine feminine and whatever, because they don't want the divine feminine energy on the planet, because we are creators with our wombs, and we have the ability to reverse the damage if we were to come totally online, which we're doing now. So, you know, there's so much we can do. There's so much we can do. But I just want to sort of try and just give you, like, this is an epidemic. This is worldwide, in every country you can think of. And it's how they generate their power. It's how they generate the power to keep up all of the grid works, all of the Metatronic reversal grids, how they get the sacred sites locked down. You know, it's all linked to that, and the black magic that they use to create the inversion energy that keeps us locked up. I mean, we are dismantling that, of course we are, but they are still lying. We still cannot get that reveal. And I think more and more is being revealed. But you know, humanity in general, if they're not woken up, they don't want to know. It's not for them. It's not in their life. It doesn't matter. It's not happening to them. It hasn't happened to their niece. It hasn't happened to their daughter. It hasn't happened to their mother. It hasn't happened to their brother or sister. And so, you know, it's someone else's problem, but it's all of our problem. And the more and more people that speak up and out and start to show their, you know, their anger, not anger, but show that this, what is going on? Why are you letting people get away with this? Then we will see a change in the reveal of what truly is happening. And you know, I work with people that have been satanically ritually abused, and the fallout for that is horrendous. You can imagine not only them, but quite often they might have been dissociated and didn't realize they'd even been abused. So they've got children, and those children are affected by their behavior and by their emotional wounds and what they have perpetuated from that behavior. You know, self-soothing. You know, you can become addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, drugs. Self-soothing in whatever way you find for survival. There's no judgment on that. You know, you do what you need to do to survive because you're in survival mode. And, you know, the amount of deaths you die, or a lot, and I mean that, right? You know, they take you to the point of death and then bring you back. And, you know, this needs to stop. And no matter what level of abuse is going on, it has to stop. And just think about the agendas that they're bringing in through the LGBTQT, with, like, you can have love with a child, and you can be in love with a child, and a child can be in love with you. You know, all that crap, and it is crap. It's a psychop. It's mind control. It's getting people used to paedophilia so that they get so soaked down with it under mind control, they start to think it's okay. And that's where they're going, folks. That's their agenda. No bones about it. That's their agenda. So just be aware of that. And I've gone on a bit. I didn't want to really put this, but there's a lot to say about this. But just be aware that this problem is huge. But we all have to take responsibility for speaking out when we can and supporting others that have been through it, and also supporting others that have and do work with children to rehabilitate them and heal them, or help them heal themselves and lift out those traumas. But we have to stop the people causing it in the first place. We have to go to the root of it, don't we? So we have to go to the root of it and shut it off and cut it off. And then you will find that the energy on this planet will rise rapidly, in the fact that the energy of the holographic overlays will stop. The energy of the implants, mechanism, devices will not work anymore. All of the roots of the porn industry and everything that is all feeding into this. And, it's a deliberate plan, a deliberate plan. It will all then start to lose its power. And then we will start to see the numbers dropping dramatically. And I just ask that you ask for divine intervention. Each one of you are powerful creators and co-creators. And in our God self, in our avatar God self, we can ask for intervention. We can deliver universal law. And I have just put together a council called the Council of the Divine Feminine Elders, Sovereign Elders. And very much I was guided to do that. And we are going to be meeting and working with the high councils to deliver spiritual equity, karma, to those in charge, those that are creating this and putting them to account. Also putting to account the people on this planet that are aiding and abetting those agendas. Because unless they're held to account and they are almost like put in front of a council, their soul, and then you can redeem them, you can offer them redemption. And if they don't take redemption, then they have to go back to source. And what that means is they are rapidly have to take the consequences and the spiritual equity of everything that they have taken part in, of every lifetime up to this. And the way they get away with it is by deflecting spiritual karma, spiritual equity, we call it, to their victims, and rolling karma on. And when we get together in powerful numbers and we take them to account and we ask, we redeem them. And if they don't redeem, then they'll get hit with a karma anyway, whether they redeem or not. But when they redeem, then they take their karma. They are given an option for divine soul sovereignty. And then they are taken to the healing planes and taken off planet. Literally, their incarnation will not go much further, not immediately, but in alignment with their I am presence, and they will then go for healing. They will not be allowed to reincarnate on this planet ever again, and not till they are completely in their true energy and soul energy. So I hope I haven't rambled on too much. I just wanted to talk about it and how it is important. It is important that we speak up. It is important that we take action and we hold these people to account. And we cannot afford to be not brave enough or not courageous enough. We came here to do this. We came here to be courageous. We came here to be brave. We came here to use our voices and to speak up. And I hope that encourages you to, I don't know, think about that and what's really going on this planet. And we can't ignore it, and we shouldn't ignore it. And in fact, the people that can do the most need to acknowledge it the light workers and starseeds. And there were plenty of truthers as well that do amazing stuff, speaking up, making these things known, telling people about it. You know, it needs to be spread out wide so that more and more people are cottoning on to, like, hey, this is being covered up. No, we won't take this. The power is in the people. So I'm sending you all my love. If you like this video, you found it interesting, I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel and like this for the algorithms. And take care until I see you again. Okay.